everyone to another episode of Pegasys Presents. I'm Lauren Stefanelli, your host, and with me tonight is another local video producer that you may have seen his work here in Tompkins County, and we have an extra treat tonight. We get to talk to him, get to know him, and see a little bit of his works. I'm so happy to welcome Les Jinks. Les, thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Lauren. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, we've kind of got a rare opportunity to see a video that you spent a long time making, and which people only get to see if they buy a copy. It's not going to be on Channel 13 ordinarily, so we're really privileged to have a little bit of a taste and to find out some behind the scenes, how you came up with the idea to do it, and how the mechanics of how you got it done. But before we do that, let's just introduce people to you. I know people might have noticed that you have the most marvelous, delightful accent. So tell us a little bit about yourself and where you come from and how you came here.
Well, thank you, Lauren. Excuse me. My wife and I came from England a long time ago. We got married and set sail on the Queen Elizabeth. We arrived here, and I was working at Therm. Therm came to England and were looking for people to work at the facility. I came over and went to work at Therm. From Therm, I went to work at NCR. NCR, I lasted there about 9.5 years, and I got caught up in a layoff. And I started working for myself. I started producing video. I started working for Channel 12 in Binghamton, and as a freelance. I went from Channel 12, Channel 3 in Syracuse, was also interested in news from the Ithaca area. And then Channel 9 called me, and they wanted the same coverage, and then Channel 5. And so I was working for 4 TV stations, shooting film at the time, and I'd have to drive the film to all the TV stations. And then Channel 36 was interested, and then Channel 18 in Elmira. So I finished up working for 6 TV stations. I'd have to shoot film of anything interesting and important going on in Ithaca, like big fires, major accidents, things happening at Cornell. And I would start out by driving the film to Elmira, and then driving on to Binghamton, and then driving up to Syracuse, and then back home. And it was very lengthy. It would take me a couple hours to do that, and I was racking up all kinds of miles on my vehicle. And that went on for a number of years. And my parents came over from England to pay us a visit, and my mother said, you know, this is a beautiful area. Why don't you do a video of the Ithaca area? So I said, okay, that's great, yeah, I'll do that. So I put together a videotape called The Beauty of Ithaca. That was about a 30-minute video, and I sold that all throughout the region. And then somebody suggested the Finger Lakes region. So I did a video of the Finger Lakes region, and that didn't do quite as well, but now that was about 15, 18 years ago. Mm-hmm. So then I thought, well, DVDs are more of the fashion these days, so I started working on a DVD. And
so you've been involved in television production all this time.
Oh yeah.
When you were working for the news organizations all around and shooting film, were you partnering with a reporter?
No, actually, well, yes. Sometimes a couple of people were interested in stringing along with me, and I let them write the story, and we would use a voicer. But for the most part, it was kind of very complicated to do that, because at a minute's notice I'd get a call that there was something going on, so I'd grab my camera and rush right out. Then I would call the TV stations, tell them what I had, and would they be interested in it. And of course, with the big news, they said, oh sure. And then I got a call from CNN one time. There was a real bad Greyhound accident in Carolina about 15 years ago. And I went over, early Saturday morning, I went over and shot some video and called CNN. And they said, yeah, we'd love to have the video. So I sent it via Greyhound to New York, then they flew it down to Atlanta, Georgia. And after that, CNN would call me with various assignments. Mm-hmm. And then Fox called me a few times and said they were interested in news that was happening in Ithaca. And primarily the reason, Ithaca is about an hour from Syracuse, an hour from Binghamton, and about 45 minutes to Elmira. So if something was happening, it was key that someone needed to be there at the time.
And you were close enough to get to all of those locations.
Exactly, yeah. So, and it was great. I really enjoyed it. It kept me busy a long time, and a lot of people knew me from being on television. My neighbors on the street, they would, on a Saturday, if a news item get on the air, they would flash the lights on and off in the street, say, we saw it on TV, you know. And it was really exciting. I really enjoyed it.
And so now the video that you've just produced that we're going to take a peek at, this is, excuse me, this is a current project, something that your most recent project?
Yes, it is, yeah. I started this maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and I started to take it, in the spring I started, then the summer, and I noticed that I hadn't got a certain view or a certain item, so I'd have to wait till the following year to complete that.
So you've got all seasons of the year?
Yeah, and that's what happened for a few years. I thought, oh, I've missed that. I'll have to wait till next year to get that. So that's the reason it took such a long time to put it together. And so finally I had some software that I had at home, Adobe, and I purchased a camera, what they call a 3-chip camera that was enabled to be very good. And it took me a long time to get it edited. And my wife says, how come it's taking so long? I said, well, come on, let me show you what I was doing here. You back it up, you forward it, you take this out, you blend this in, and it's a really lengthy project. But finally we had it finished. And I was talking to a good friend of mine, Rudy Paul Angeli, who worked at WHCU for many years, and I asked him if he would be interested in doing the voice background. And he said, sure, I'd do that. So as a favor to me, I wrote the script and he put it down on tape, and I blended it into the video in the appropriate places, and we had a finished production. And so then it went for sale at various places around town.
Well, I think we talked about different parts that we might show, and we decided on a couple of sneak peeks, and I think the first one we thought that we'd like to share with everybody is a little glimpse of local festivals, a little glimpse of the Grassroots Festival and the Apple Harvest Festival.
Okay.
So right now we're going to take a little peek of just a small section of this wonderful video that Les has produced showing some local festivals. So take a look.
An event that brings music fans from all over the United States and Canada every summer is the Grassroots Festival held at the Trumansburg Fairgrounds.
Wonderful. My first time here. I've heard about it for years, and it's especially important because I've been in Lithuania for 2 years as a Peace Corps volunteer, and it's wonderful to come back to my American roots.
As the summer winds down, the Ithaca Commons is again the place to be for the Apple Festival.